we come to that proverbial fork in the road, and we're left to think about decisions that we have to make in our lives that are going to affect us, like as we move forward, and as we kind of journey down that path and figure which direction to take. We're left contemplating a lot of hard decisions. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, is what do you do to walk yourself mentally through making a lot of those hard decisions in life. So we'll talk about that tonight, and then we'll just kind of go into like what we got lined up for the rest of the week. So come along, let's go have our fun tonight and discussion and just hang out together like we always do. Okay. All right, let's go, folks. Come on, let's go with me. All right. What is up? What is up, family? What is up, people? Hello. We already got some fine folks in the house saying hello. All right. So tonight we are again flying solo dolo. There's nobody else here but us tonight, and that's okay. So hopefully you enjoyed last night's conversation with Mr. Kevin Logan Jr. You can go check out the replay over on our YouTube channel. So if you're checking us out over there on YouTube, please head over to our YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel while you're there, hit the hit the notification bell while you're over there, and it'll let you know whenever, of course, we are live, whenever we schedule new lives, and whenever we have new video content on the channel. So thank you if you're checking us out over on YouTube. And Mr. Mark Lauren is in the house. Appreciate you stopping in. Of course, we are streaming on our favorite platform on LinkedIn. So thank you. Is tripping again with with the comments. Why is my video frozen? I don't know. If my video is frozen, I got no clue, but all I can say is, in the great words of Elsa, let it go, LinkedIn. Let it go. All right. So yes, just like Yolanda's there, she's over on YouTube, of course. She's hit the bell. She's following us over there. So that's what we got going on for this evening, if you're checking us out on YouTube. And of course on LinkedIn, I don't know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's always a 50-50 proposition with our LinkedIn. So that's okay. So if you're doing that and you're checking us out on LinkedIn, you can always head over to our YouTube channel. Just saying. So refreshing does help. All right. And of course, we want to mention, if you're checking us out, head over to our Impro Media swag store. That is right. We do got swag. I got to get a few things taken care of so we can add some actual unfiltered live stuff on there. So yes, you can fly on the you can head over to the mavensofmerch.com/Gabe Leal. Head over to the creators tab, and then you can find our merch. So there you go. Help us out if you're over there. And of course, we can get our inky black team over there. They're the ones that help with our design work and our logo. So head over to www.inkyblack.design to learn more. So, all right, we are live, folks, and tonight we are talking about there's the man. Um, in Hello, goodbye, and see ya. That's what I said. That's your tagline now. Hello, goodbye, and see ya. Every time you come in, that's what I'm expecting. But it's always here to see you and not see you, and there you go. All right, where was I? Yes, goodbye, see ya. That works out perfectly. All right, tonight we're talking about a topic that I had kind of. So I did a podcast today with Janae Ahmed, and we were talking about a lot of things. And one of them that kind of made mention, it's kind of like, I don't know, been on the top of the mind, tip of the tongue for me has been uh, decisions, like making decisions. Like sometimes, we go through life and then we get to points in our journey where kind of like what I said at the beginning of the show is like we hit that fork in the road, and sometimes we're left like deciding which path to kind of take, because you never know, one path could take you right to where you want to go, the other might head you down somewhere else, and both of them might seem at that point that they're like headed towards your goal. Like you can still have a goal in place, but then you get to a point where there's like trying to figure out how to navigate that, right? Because, usually one might take you a little bit longer to get to where you're going to if you go down the wrong path. Not that I'm saying there's a wrong path in the first place, but sometimes we do make decisions and it leads us there. Like we don't always get to our objective. Hello, Lisa in the house. And yes, it was, I think it was who was it? Mae West that said that, something along that lines. Um, Something very similar, but thank you again for you guys tuning in, by the way. Before the highway, there you go. So like I kind of started contemplating this. I was listening to, of all things, it was an Audio Slave song. So if you don't know what Audio Slave is, it's just a band that was comprised of Chris Cornell of Soundgarden, excuse me, and then the some of the remaining members of Rage Against the Machine, and they did like a kind of like a super group thing. But one of the songs that I loved was called "I Am the Highway," and it kind of talks about that, like where you go in life, like how do you navigate making some very difficult decisions in your world, um, and even sometimes these decisions are life or death. Um, I had a conversation with a gentleman who's going to be coming on the show, where he had to make a really hard, like life or death decision. Now, luckily, it worked out for him. Um, but sometimes we do have to make the decision that's maybe not always the one that we want or imagine. Um, and like this is why I say sometimes taking the time to think about it. People will make snap decisions, and sometimes it's okay. Do I want fries or not? Okay. Um, that's not not that that's it's a decision, but it's a snap decision that you probably make. And again, who knows? By the time you get home, you're like, "Dang it, I should have got the fries." Like those things kind of happen, and those are like. So what I'm talking about is in terms of like big life decisions, because those weigh heavier on us, right? Like when we get to a point where, yes, it is a lovely song. If you've never heard it, please go listen to it. It's wonderful. Um, but yeah, when you get to a fork in the road in your life, because a lot of us, again, our travels are very weary, and we get to that point of where, you get to where you want to start moving forward, and you have this motivation, and you have all these things in place, and then all of a sudden you get somewhere and you're put in a position to say, what do I do? Um, you just can't stay there and stay stagnant anymore. You can't just stay in one place. You have to make a decision on where to go. And there you go, large or small fries. That's again another decision. You never know. But like, going forward, like 2023 is coming right around the corner for all of us, whether we want it to or not, right? You can't just stay in the fork in the road and say, you know what, I'm putting my foot in the ground here. I'm staying here on November 9th, and I'm not moving any further until I make whatever it is. It's not going to happen. As soon as we get done here, sunset, sunrise, wherever you're at, you're in the next day. Like in Helen's case, she's already in November 10th. She doesn't get the option of saying, I want to stay November 9th. She's already there. So, what do we do when what is the mindset and the logic that we take in making some of these decisions? Because they're very pivotal in what's going to happen usually within the next couple of months of like how either our lives are going to change for the good or sometimes for the bad. That's the thing about making the decision. It's not always a guarantee it's going to be a good thing. So like when we sit with mindset and think like how do we make the hard choice? For some people it's like ending their marriage. For some people it's leaving their job. For some people it's taking that leap into entrepreneurship because they they want to go pursue it, and it's not always guaranteed that it's going to work out. That's kind of the risk reward factor of making some of these hard decisions. Like there were people who made the jump into entrepreneurship right before the pandemic, and they might have made big investments in a restaurant or something along those lines. They opened a bar or whatever it was, and guess what? March 2020 hits and everything changes in the world, and everything around us is just now forced to do things differently. And now all of a sudden that decision, it can be haunting. So, what are some of the things that you do that walk you through that? Like for me, I have to sit with myself sometimes and really make hard choices. I've made hard choices, man, that sucked. They did. Like I've made choices that weren't conducive to me mentally, physically, emotionally. But sometimes we have to make that choice. It's not the easiest thing to sit down with and say, yeah, I'll have this decision by tomorrow. You know, so when somebody say is looking for, I don't know, purpose in life, whatever that is for them, like there are decisions that have to be made. And yes, look at like Lisa shared with us. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being courageous enough to share that. My business was shut down because of it, and now she's recovering. Here we are, about to be 2023, 2 years later, and those things are. And to top, man, that's the life, Mr. Bill Bradford. Yes, but that's the case though. Like, it's for some of those decisions that you make. Like, people say, you have a lot of potential, or, there are things that are set before you, career wise. And, you're set, you're there alone to think about things. Because even if you do have a family, I mean, those decisions are going to affect other people, but you still, again, you have to wake up every day and live that life. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Is like yes, you watching here making the decision tonight, you have to live with it. And yes, it might affect other people, you know, Making decisions while you're I know what you mean. But yes, getting in a position of where we find ourselves in those moments. Like I think there are times where we have to do like really deep mindset work and things along those lines so they kind of help guide us with those decisions. For people, it's spirituality to get in that point. Um, they get to a point of where they have to think about it. They put their either trust in God, they put whatever their faith is, they put their trust in it and they go forward with that decision. Some people make the decision just based off logistics and what works and what doesn't work. And those are the things that you have to seriously consider. Like you get to a point in life where that is um, where we sit there and honestly have to look inside of ourselves because, uh, while you sit and think internally, like where this is going to be pushing you within the next couple of months or years. So it's not easy, you know. So like I've had to make snap decisions that weren't very good for me. Um and I've also learned now that though I got to put up sometimes when you get to that point you have to set a boundary for things. And sometimes it is saying, you know what, I need time. And if you can't afford me the time, you're probably not going to get a decision that you like. And I'm not going to get a decision I like. So, I mean, it's taking the moments to sit down. It's taking the moments to sit down and really putting down on paper or mentally how you want to go about doing this. It's part of, it's part of life and how we have to decide things. And I'm just going to use this as an example because guys, I mean, you like if you're married, you can understand this, or if you were ever married, you could understand this. And I'm not trying to be stereotypical or anything, but like asking your wife, "What do you want for dinner?" You know, like that's a decision. Now I've learned that there's other ways to do things to kind of reframe that, and I'm pretty sure you can do that now with decisions that you make. Like I heard this and I thought it was genius. It was genius. Um, because I think about it and I said, when you ask somebody that, it's kind of an open ended question. It's um, hey, again, hey, honey, what do you want for dinner? And, or, you give an option and then they're like, if they give you the open ended response back, it's like, well, whatever you want. Um, then all of a sudden it goes back to you and all of a sudden now it's making decisions where if you go and reframe that question and say something along the lines of, "Hey, sweetie, would you be opposed to having Applebee's tonight?" Right? I think you come at it a different approach, right? So you evaluate it in a different way, and I think it's the same way that when you come to sometimes making decisions in life, like sometimes it is reframing that, like how you want to reframe and reword it, even for ourselves mentally, like making a decision like that. Um, because again, we're going to be our worst inner critics. We're going to do things. Make your own different. There you go. That's how you do it. Yeah, there you go. Had to pivot, but that happens. Well, of course, no, but again, you're you're putting options on the table before they even. So even if it's a rejection to say no, right? Um, so that you already know that is already off the table. So you go to it from that approach, and then you have the ability to response to have a response back to it. because then you can say, well, if it's not Applebee's, then it's this, right? The thing is, when you present a lot of options, you're gonna you're gonna get what you're gonna get. So if you kind of help guide them a little bit in what you want as a guy, and not just, I mean, just in any position, if you guide somebody in there and keep bringing those up in that sort of in how you frame it that way, it's not just going to be no, you know, you have to think of it a little bit more cleverly, and that's what we have to do with our own selves, our own minds sometimes. Like cleverly look at our decisions. Um, because I feel when we have those heavy burdened things to have to think about, um, we can think about them as much as we want, but doesn't always mean that that's going to address the situation. So it takes us having to actually come up with an answer. Um, I think if that was on the table, like the phone, well, if you want to, yeah, what is it? The Millionaire Show. I forget. Phone a friend, but that would help. But that's again, that's just that is where when we when we're going through our phases in life, um like I think those are monumental things that we have to consider, um because when we look back on our lives, and if you're saying I want to live a life with no regrets, that means that you're going to have to weigh that kind of heavy decision if you're not going to have regrets. So, like, if you've made up the mindset that you're going to do these things and you stick to your guns, okay, 100%. I'm with it. Ride or die. Do what you're going to do. You know, if you've already come to that mindset, then making the hard decision is going to be easy for you. It's not going to be a hard decision. It's going to be like, I got it. I already know. Instantaneous. Like when you've built yourself, that's why I say you got to prepare it. You got to talk to yourself. You got to do the inner work to make those decisions, because it's hard when you introduce self doubt, when you introduce your own inner critic inside of you to interject on something. All of a sudden, you've halted your ability to say yes. Let's just move fucking forward, and I'm good. No. So that's why taking a lot of time to fully understand what you are and who you are usually helps make those decisions a little bit more comfortable, a little bit easier to answer. So, like, my thing is to prompt everybody here, like, what are some of the things that you do personally to handle these sort of decisions? And not just dinner decisions, because dinner is going to recur every night. That's a every night thing. So, I'm talking about saying, tomorrow I got to go quit my job. You're not going to go quit your job every fucking day. No, you're going to do it one time, because you can't just, it doesn't work that way. That's not how life works. So coming up with mindset of how to deal with that, and where you kind of take your life based on those decisions. So that's why like a lot of mindset coaches, they push people to understand who they are first. Same things with recruiters, when they ask people like when somebody's looking for employment and they start getting themselves out there, a recruiter's going to want to know, like, what is it that you want? If you give them, again, it's the dinner question. If you give them 500 answers, that's not going to streamline the process to get you where you need to be. But if you're like, hey, I want to, like, I have experience in sales or in traveling nurse or in medical, and it's along those lines of where you're trying to do, okay, you've kind of shortened that gap and you've made it a little bit easier to navigate for them. Then they know how to go to work. Like, that is how this works, and it's the same thing with building our mindsets. It's the same thing. Like if you know yourself and you've put in the work, um, these decisions are a little bit easier to kind of guide yourself through. Are they always going to be the right ones? Absolutely not. I don't know anybody who's made 100% of their perfect decisions. Um, because it is like life, it is trial and error. But even in trial and error, you do have the ability to gather that information before you. What does it say to make an informed decision? So, I mean, here we are in the United States. We just came off a night where we had to make decisions, where everybody made the decision whether or not they want to go back to like things were, or they want to see things change differently, or whatever that is for them. So, and we still haven't got a clear definition yet. But the thing is, we've had months to know, like months, and that's the whole thing behind it. So it's our same things in life. Like we've probably had months upon months to get prepared for a major decision sometimes, and sometimes it's us internally again that wants to put up that fight. We procrastinate. We use different things. Like I got to make a decision. Like I have some major decisions I have to make into 2023. They're not going to be easy, but I have to make them. So I have to, again, evaluate everything to the best of my knowledge, know that I can handle it and be prepared for it, and then go forth. Because my motto is one of those that say that I don't want to live with regret. So I'm going to trust a lot of things that I've put in my life. My mind, my heart, my soul, my spirit, all those things are going to come into play in the decisions that I make. And I think as all of us do, we have that capacity inside all of us to do it. It's just like whether or not we want to take the time. Like why? Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's what. Why do today what you can put on the next day? Yes. And it is. It is. And it's hard. It absolutely is hard to live that. Like you don't want to live with the regret. There are things that you know, when you go back and think about those things, right? I've heard this said, and I believe part of it with what this is said. So somebody once said that nostalgia is the cancer of the soul, because nostalgia can take us to live in the past and sometimes can keep us there. It's hard to move past that for some people. Like to go back to a time that no longer exists. Yes, it's a wonderful memory, but to let it fester for so long, um, I think that's what we do with regret sometimes when we see it that way. That's the thing, though. I'm pretty sure most of us say, I want to live a life with no regret, but we are going to run into that. It's just inevitable. But to have the mindset of not wanting that it's the key. That's the key to it. Um, and that is again why, as like again these next few months are going to go change moving forward. We understand that as the new year comes, people like to do their New Year's resolutions, their things that they're thinking about now. I mean, but my thing is, why wait? Why wait to the beginning of a new year? Like, if you're gonna do that, then guess what? you're probably a month behind already on laying the groundwork for a lot of those things. Like, it's not like January 1st just arrives and the switch turns on. No way. Like, it just doesn't happen that way, you know? So there are things, there are uh, foundational pieces or pillars that you have to lay out if you're actually going to make New Year's resolutions and for them to be successful. Nobody can. Again, you're not just going to turn on a switch tomorrow and say, you know what, I am there. I'm going to start. You know what, I'm going to lose 10 pounds here so quickly. It takes work, man. And you know what, you might not see the result. So that's why, like I'm saying, it's not just you know taking the initiative to do it, but it's also the idea of planning it out and making something making something really work. It takes a lot of investment into it. That's where understanding what your that's why I say understanding and knowing what your long term and short term goals are going to make those decisions a hell of a lot easier for you. And sometimes if you're confident enough in the decision that you make, even though the result might not be what you want, and it turns out not according to plan, but you felt confident in the decision, I think that is what it means when you say I live with no regret. Absolutely, I live with no regret. Um, yeah, yeah, and that's hard. That's a hard thing to do, man. I totally understand that. Um, is that when we do? Yeah, exactly. There you go, Brandy. I love this. Uh, and it's hard, man. It's a hard way to go back and navigate your life. So that's that's why I say that when you take those moments, when you take the time to really invest in internally, that's where all this is where all this comes from. This is where we have our problem. Our problem is ourself, and whether or not we trust ourselves to make the decisions, because we've made mistakes in the past, right? We want to say instead of us saying like those are the learning lessons to take from it, and constantly always remind ourselves that's there. Um, Sometimes it pushes us away from making a decision that actually would probably be more beneficial to us because we've had it happen before. So an example of saying, I've been married twice, not me, I'm just personal. I'm just using this example. I've been married twice and I don't ever want to get married again. You put that already out there in the world. That is the energy you're having. But yet you meet this amazing individual in your life and they come in there and they are just everything that you looked for. But you've had that planted back there in the back of your mind. Like, I'm not going to get married again. And this individual's like, you know what? I would absolutely want to get married again. Like, you've already made that decision. And the result is probably not going to be what you want. And if you're saying I'm going to live that life with no regret, losing that individual might be that. So, that's why I say always keep your mind open to those things. Like when you do that, you shut off a lot of things. And guess what? Yeah, there could be hurt there, but you could make the other decision as well to say, you know what, I don't, I don't want to do that. You can make the other decision to say, um, I'm going to be open to it, and you still might get hurt. Guess what? Hurt happens regardless. Well, look, I'm going to tell you, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in right person, wrong time. If it is right person, it is right person, right time. Like, I think that's a built in excuse sometimes that we put in front of ourselves. The timing just doesn't work. Absolutely not. If it is that thing, if it is that thing to meant to be, then it will be. I don't believe that at all. And if that person is meant to be there in your life, they're going to be there in your life. So, yeah, there are times, like I say, if you shut your mind off to things like that, who knows? You're missing out. Opportunity of a lifetime. Gone by the wayside. And guess what? 10 years down the road, guess what? You know, 10 years down the road, you're like, I should have, or whatever that reason, or you reminisce about that individual or that time or that period in your life. And guess what? You've essentially created that pinpoint of hurt again. It's there. So you're not gonna. I'm sorry. You're not gonna get out of life without being hurt. You're not gonna get out of life without struggle. You're not gonna get out of life alive. All those are guaranteed. You're going to struggle. You're going to get hurt, and you're not gonna get out of life alive. Guaranteed. So we spend so much of our lives avoiding it instead of running to it, so that we know what that is. And then we know how to actually navigate it. We can make the hard decisions, but we always want to walk away from it because nobody wants to deal with that. I don't want to struggle. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to do none of these things. You know, nobody wants to. I don't want to die. I'm going to. It's a natural thing of life. The moment I was born to die. It's just a race. Like, how much do I get to live this life and what that is for me? So I make the decision that I'm comfortable with my own death because it's going to happen. If I am not afraid to die, then what do I have to fear? What do I have to fear? Nothing. You've pretty much taken your own power back. That's what all this is about. It's like making those decisions. Like, again, nobody wants to make the hard decision. Nobody wants to say, I got to leave this marriage because it's not healthy for me. Why? Because, well, we got kids, or, well, we got this, or I don't want to leave this job. I get paid a lot of money. Yeah, but are you getting fulfillment? Or are you living, is it every day that you're there, it's miserable? Like, what is that? Nobody wants to do that. But those are the hard decisions again. And are we mentally prepared to do it? That's why I say the individuals that have done and who've done the work that we know and we see in life, and they're like, I don't make all the right decisions at all, but you know what? I'm comfortable making my decision now. Hats off, my man. You got it. You got it. But you have to be in, again, you have to get to that point. And it's not easy, man. I don't know anybody. Where did it say in the fine print that life is easy, man? Life is not easy at all. So if it's not going to be easy, then you have to live your life hard. And we see people like that. They make life so easy. You know why? Because they know how it is to make the hard life decisions. They know how. They deal with it. They go along with it. So, I mean, that's why I tell everybody that I've had these talks with, like, what that is for them. So, again, my call to action to everybody here is like, what is that for you? Like, what are you sitting with tonight? And You know, could be like you said, anything is as hard as I want to quit my job, or do like Teresa said earlier, do I want tacos or taco supreme? You know, decisions are all around us. We have to make them every day, regardless. So that's why I say, like, if you know what you want, like, you know, that person that eats the same meal all the time, and yet they're content doing it. They've made their decision. I like whatever this is every day. I can eat this every day. You know, people like, I need variety in each. Not this guy, or not this woman, or not this person. They like it. Same coffee the way every, you know, that they've made that decision. You know, and the only reason that I mention to people, like when I tell them, hey, sometimes to do something different or routine, is because they get in a mindset of where things get mundane. There's a difference. If that person is content having their Starbucks coffee the same way every morning, and it gives them the same vibrant feel every time they get their cup, bammo, you got it, my man. You know what that is. But like, when you don't know that and you're just going there to get the coffee because that is what you routinely do, that's different then. Then next day, shake it up, maybe. Get a iced mocha, cafe, whatever the hell it is you want to get, and try it out. It might lead you to being that person that likes that same thing every day. Who knows? But we got to do it. We all do. So, all right. I guess let's get this puppy wrapped up tonight, guys. Thank you again for being here. And yes, life is hard, but the fun and passion is driven by choices. Some great, some shit. Absolutely true. That's a t-shirt. Absolutely, yes. So, you know, that's just how we have to do things in this world now. All right, guys. Thank you again. And real quick before we get out of here, tomorrow we will be having on tomorrow evening we will be having a guest. Mr. Roy Richardson will be on the show. You might see him on YouTube or follow him. He is known as Tech Troublemaker. He's an IT professional by day, college professor by night, and content creator every other waking moment that he's not doing the other two. So hopefully you guys come in and join us tomorrow evening, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. We will be live with Mr. Roy Richardson. So there you go, folks. So we'll have him in the house, and it'll be another great conversation. It's been a really great week. A lot of things that we got shared out here tonight. So easier said than done. And that's true. But again, it's never easy. That's the build up to it. It's not easy. So that's how we do things here. So, all right, guys, thank you again so much for a wonderful conversation, a wonderful evening. Again, you guys are the best audience on any platform, bar none. And appreciate all of you. So until tomorrow evening, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time, you guys be well, stay well, have a wonderful rest of your night. Enjoy whatever it is that you're enjoying tonight, and sit down in front of the TV or read a book or whatever it is. Make that decision to do that. So, okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow evening. Till then, good night, everybody.